Good afternoon, everyone. Lenny Pena here in Garberville, California. I wanted to share a little cooking video with you. I went grocery shopping yesterday and I saw parsnips and multicolored carrots. I couldn't resist because I love to make roasted parsnip and carrot strips. And I want to share that with you, both plain and curried. I'll give you two versions today. So the first thing I'm going to start with is turning on the gas to 350. Get that warmed up. A little close-up here of what we're going to be working with. We're so lucky here in this area to get the multicolored carrots. I love them, and I just really love parsnips, so I can't wait to share this with you. So first we're going to begin peeling. I love peeling, they're so fun. And parsnips, of course, peel just like carrots, even though they have a little bit of a slight potato texture. They're kind of like a cross between a carrot texture and a potato texture. Cut that off. And I'll choose this beautiful, I think, reddish orange carrot, almost not quite burgundy, to peel. Ooh, look at that. Okay, I'll finish peeling and then get back to you. And we'll take our colorful pile of ribbon strips of carrots and parsnips and put them in the compost can. And then we can continue with our cutting. I'm going to start with this big parsnip so you can see sort of what I'm up to when I'm cutting it. So I think about creating batons about this long as these strips. So I first sort of cut where I think that's going to look. So I'm going to cut this in two. I'm going to make them about that long for the parsnips. And then the cutting in half and half and half for a while. Okay, and then cut sort of that in half. This is where it gets a little tricky. You have to create little thirds of things. But this is kind of the idea right there. Oops, of the batons. So I'm going to cut some more and I'll be back with you. So the other parsnip was a little shorter, so I ended up with some shorter batons, and we have them right there. They look like big French fries. The carrots are a little easier in some ways because, well, in this case, they're thinner, which is helpful. So I'm going to cut this in thirds. This is trickier with ooh, look how pretty that is. The inside's gold, the outside is that reddish orange. I think that's a nice size actually for those. As they get thicker, we might get a couple more slices out of it. Yeah, like this. And then we get the real thick one. Ooh. Actually get more. Oh, these are pretty. It's a little tricky. There we go. All right. I have another bowl. For now, I'm going to put the carrots in this bowl. There's a very little thin part. I think I'll just use that as is. Come on, stop rolling. I have 2 of those since they're so thin. I think I'm going to cut that in half. I think it'll cook a little faster. And our regular orange carrot. I'm going to do thirds again. Okay, so now I have 2 bowls. I have the parsnips and carrots. I'm going to mix them up though, because I want to do half and half, plain and with curry. So right now I'm just going to sort of swap, create some mixtures here. I think I'll do a little bit more with curry. And a couple more over here. Okay, so I got 2 bowls. Now I'm going to use a little grapeseed oil just to toss them a touch. Both I'll put salt and pepper. And then in one of them, which will be this bowl, I'm going to stick curry powder. I'm really going to kind of coat them. Just toss them around so they can all get coated. So these, I'll show you up close. These are the plain with salt and pepper, and these are the coated with curry. Now I'm going to put them on cookie trays with parchment paper. I'm going to just sprinkle the plain ones there, and I'll drop the curried ones here. Just get them so they're just, you know, they all have their space. It's hard for me to do with the camera in my hand, but sort of like that. Okay, now it's time to put them in the oven. Definitely hot enough. I'm going to put the curried ones on the bottom closer to the heat, since there's more of them, and the plain ones on top. Now obviously the stove's going to do the work, but the main thing is checking on them and using a pair of tongs to every so often just turn them around and watch them as they brown and maybe get slightly caramelized. So we're going to do that a couple of times, or 2-3 times, until we see that they're done. I had set the timer for 5 minutes, so now we'll see how we're doing here. I'm going to start with the bottom tray first. Oh, they're looking good. So I'm just going to give them a little toss. Okay. They still kind of all have mostly have their own space, not too much pile on top of one another. And let's see how the top ones are doing. Less so. Not bad. I think the ones closer to the heat are definitely going faster, so at some point I might switch. I could tell it with the tongs that the ones on the bottom are starting to get a little softer already. Okay, so I'm trying to time to give you an idea of how long they might take. Okay, so the timer went off for another 5 minutes. I'm going to pull them both out so I can look at them, toss them, let you see them, and then put them back in opposite. That would help if I put the lip side out. There we go. Okay, the curried ones, they're getting a little softer. Toward the end, they get a little like, you know, drier, browner, slightly caramelized. They're doing okay. I realized I needed to get other tongs for the plain ones. And they are definitely not cooking as fast. I see a little bit of brown though. Okay, I'm gonna switch racks now. So I set the timer for another 5 minutes. Put these on the bottom. Put these on the top. Okay, so while we're waiting for those to cook, I just wanted to mention I used grapeseed oil. I didn't use olive oil. I sometimes use olive oil when I'm doing them plain, if I'd like to give it just a little something, you know, a little flavor. The grapeseed oil, I think, is a little more innocuous. It doesn't affect the flavor as much, which is why I definitely wanted that with the curry. I didn't want the olive oil flavor with the curry. I want the curry to just sort of be its own flavor. So those are some options for you. Obviously, with your oven, I don't normally do 2 racks at the same time. It's a smaller oven, and I just wanted to do this for a demonstration. Or I might have did a smaller amount in 2 smaller pans on the same rack. So you can adjust, obviously, with your own stove. So that's 5 more minutes, which makes 15 in total so far. And looking at them, they're still, see, the bottom ones are now starting to, yes, get that little bit of browner, drier quality I can see. Good. Let me pull out those top ones again and give them a little toss. This isn't as easy with my camera in my hand, obviously, so I'm going to do it up here so I can just actually do it. Okay. Oh my God. So I almost had a disaster. I mean, I was shutting the oven door and the parchment paper started sliding. Fortunately, when I turned you off, I went in and all of them were still on the parchment paper. I just had to slide it back onto the pan. The dangers of doing this when I'm trying to communicate with the camera as well. So here's the next thing. I'm going to turn up the gas to 375 because I'm wanting them now to more quickly cook and get drier, slightly more brown quickly. You can maybe even start at 375 at the beginning if you like. So I'm just trying to give you a sense of timing. Sometimes it does take like 25 minutes in total at 350, but if you're, more in a hurry, maybe you want to try 375. But at any time at this point, later, I'm turning it up, and I've done that before, so that at the end I can kind of get them to do that browning and slightly caramelizing. So I finished cooking them because I had to go back and forth every couple of minutes, top and bottom. I switched them again. So I didn't want to do that, and you work with the camera and everything. So you got the process, but I wanted to keep my eye on them because at 375, I didn't want them burning. I turned the gas off a couple minutes ago, and I'm going to pull them out now, and then I'm going to plate them up and show you. First, I'm giving you a view of what they look like on the pan. You can see they even left some of those brown, slightly caramelized marks on the parchment paper, and less so with because the curry powder sort of dries them a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to plate them up, but I wanted you to see them when I took them out of the oven. I put them on this plate where you can see them. They kind of look like exotic French fries, don't they? The plain ones here, the curried ones here. I'm going to taste them now and let you know what I think. Okay, I'm going to start with the parsnip. I'm going to start with the plain ones. I love the taste of parsnip. It's like a sophisticated potato. So the outside is sort of like dryish, and inside is soft and moist. That's really good. I'll try a carrot too. Carrots retain, because they're a little bit harder, they're soft enough to eat, but they retain just a touch more crunch than the parsnip. Now I'm going to go for the curry. They smell so good. Wow. Yeah, I put it on heavy. Has a nice little tang to it. Delicious. Okay, I have to eat one of these reddish orange carrots. Oh, wow. So, I think these would make a great party platter when people arrive at your house, to have them out for them to pick on right away while they're, you're cooking something else, or just for sort of before, while people are mingling and talking. I think these are a great little party appetizer. So I thank you so much for joining me for today, and I'll see you next time.